Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All Nicked Up. It is Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. We are broadcasting from the vicinity of the greatest city on the planet. Of course, I'm talking about New York City. And we are in playoff time for our beloved New York Knicks, which is, for a while there, we weren't having these playoff experiences. So it's very nice to finally be back in the playoffs perennially so that we can talk about things on this show and not be talking about the draft already, which is what we had done for a couple of seasons. So I'm kind of happy that we have this to talk about. But that does not mean I am happy with what happened last night. Uh, so we all know, everyone who's watching this or any Knick fan alive who watched that game last night, which is probably every single one of them, unless you work or have some kind of job or that way you can't watch. You're not around the television, but maybe you heard on the radio, whatever. Every single fan knows what happened last night now, though, even just from having, social media. You could follow it there and see everything that went on. And this, for a lot of us, especially if you're over 30, 35, we've seen something like that before. This is not the first time we've experienced that kind of a loss. When the game, in my opinion, was pretty much over. Uh, a lot of breakdowns down the stretch, a lot of mental breakdowns down the stretch by this team. Great shots by Tyrese Maxey. You got to tip your cap to him. He was fantastic. I cannot take anything away from those shots. They were not easy shots, and especially the second one, he took it from like 40 feet away and he made it on the swish. It was ridiculous. But, you know, how we got there, to me, is just a breakdown from the top of the Knicks, the coaching staff, all the way on down through the players. And I really want to focus on the last 10 minutes of the game completely. So I'm talking about the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter and the whole overtime. When Maxey made that shot, but the 3-pointer and got fouled, the Knicks were up six. It was 28.5 seconds left in the game. Knicks up 6 points. A logical person says, all you need to do is keep him from shooting threes. First mistake, he got a 3-point shot off. Second mistake, Mitchell Robinson jumped, one for the fake. And in my estimation, the way it's called now, Maxey kind of initiated the contact. I thought Robinson had already landed. Regardless, he made the shot. I know the last 2-minute report came out and everyone's like, oh, he traveled. See, doesn't matter. They didn't call it. So I don't care about that. But to me, all you could do with that report right now is leave it in the bathroom, use it for toilet paper because it means nothing. Doesn't have any kind of impact on what happened. They can't grieve it. They can't petition. They're not going to say, oh, they made a mistake. You're moving on to the second round. No, that's not happening. So that was the second mistake. Robinson fouled him. Maxey makes the free throw. Okay, they're up 2 points. Inbound the ball. Josh Hart gets fouled. Again, this is something they could control. Go to the line and make your free throws. You make your free throws, the game's over. If he makes both of those, the game's still over. Unless, stupidly, someone would have fouled Maxey on the second 3-point shot, which, thank God, that didn't happen. But, so that would have ended the game. Should have ended the game. Because I say this all the time. Free throws are called free throws for a reason. No one's defending you. And if you're a professional basketball player, you should make those shots. It's not, I know guys don't, and I know there are guys who shoot horrifically from the line, but I mean, that's something you can control. So they should have made, Hart makes both his shot free throws, game's over. Doesn't, Maxey comes down, makes that miraculous shot, or the game is tied. There was still plenty of time left, though. Plenty of time left to get to inbound the ball, get a good shot. So what happens? Instead of calling, the Knicks had a timeout left. So instead of calling the timeout, Brunson inbounds the ball and they just run up the court and he takes a terrible shot. I mean, there's no other way for me to say it. Rushes a shot, takes a terrible shot. I know time was running down. But if you look at all the guys on during when he's coming up the court, a lot of them don't look like they don't know what's going on. Some of them look like they expect the timeout to be called, and some of them are actually on the same page with Brunson. And he even took credit for this after the game. Says, "I need to make sure everyone's on the same page in the game situations." So that tells you right there that they weren't. But you can't take that timeout with you. And I understand the thought process is, well, don't let the defense set up. But the way that the Maxi made that shot and how shocked everyone was, they were already back. Philly was already back. So Thibodeau should have called a timeout, and they should have drew up a play. That to me, that was another mistake. So I'm on the third one now of what happened in this game. Now we go to overtime. Now look, this is gonna sound mean, but we've all talked about how great Jalen Brunson has been this year. He's been fantastic, and he's been great since we got him. Better than any of us expected. He's been all that and more. But he was not good in overtime. And he did hit the first two shots, and they went up 5. But no one else took a shot in overtime. It was just him. No other Knicks shot the ball, at least that I can recall. If I'm wrong on that, someone tell me. But at least that I can recall, no one else took a shot. And he made some horrible decisions. Like he had a couple turnovers. The last one where he was being guarded by Batum. He jumped to take a shot, and he wound up passing it because Batum would have blocked it. In my head, I was like, just take the damn shot. If he blocks it, it's probably going to go out of bounds. So you get the ball back anyway, but he didn't. Threw it to Hartenstein. Hartenstein was rolling to the basket. Turnover. And I understand his mindset. I do. And I understand that for the other guys you would expect to be scoring in that for the Knicks in that situation weren't. DiVincenzo did not have a good game, but OG did. I can honestly say that. He even had like this 15-foot jumper from the elbow that I was stunned that he took and hit, but he hit it. He was having a really good offensive game. McBride was hitting shots again. Like, I don't understand why in overtime, and I get it, he's our star. You live and die with what he does, but that's not what got them there. Because it wasn't really all Brunson yesterday. And he veered away from that. And he started to play hero ball. And I'm not going to kill him because he's done that a lot of times and he's hit the shots and we've won. So, you got to live with it in a way. But man, in that situation, when you have a chance to advance, you have to be smarter than that. The playoffs are a different animal. We all know that. And from what just happened and how the game got tied to begin with, and the reason you're in overtime to begin with, I mean, you got to be better than that. He has to be smarter than that. I mean, they got that flagrant call too, and he missed a free throw. I mean, this is the anatomy of a collapse. I mean, like I said, we've seen this before. I kept thinking of Reggie Miller, of course, and then Starks getting fouled and him missing the 2 free throws, and all these things are going through my head while I'm watching this game. And I'm worried now. I'm not going to lie. I am worried. I'm worried moving forward because Embiid, honestly, by the time the fourth quarter came last night, he couldn't move. And he did not have a good game. And Maxey was fantastic, but I mean, you have to capitalize on the situations where Embiid is not playing well. Because the Knicks have someone who can match Maxey and Brunson. They don't have somebody who can match Embiid. So they had to win that game last night. Now you give this team new life. Now you give them a chance to believe that they can come back and win because they just pulled off a miraculous win. Now you let them believe again. And once you start doing that, especially to a team like that, who, let's be honest, they have more star talent than the Knicks do. That's evident. Especially right now, we don't have Randall. They have both of their all-stars, and one of them is the reigning MVP. So I know we still have Game 7 in our building, And, that's always a good thing to fall back on in the back of your mind. We have that. But I don't know, man. I did not. Like I said, I was really. I went out last night after the game. I actually went to the movies just to kind of get the taste out of my mouth. And it was late, but I went anyway. But yeah, man, I did not. That was not good. That was really, really not a good way to lose a game. And those kinds of losses can linger. That's all I'm going to say. Those kinds of losses can linger, at least for one game. So, all right, let me bring Joe in because I told him I was going to talk first. So I did all my talking. Let me bring Joe in. Hey, Joe,
What's up, brother?
what's going on, man?
Tough day.
Yeah. What did you think? What did you think about my comments? What did you think about what I said? You agree with me? Disagree with me?
I think I place this loss more on the players than I do on the coach. I think
Okay.
that the timeout was a judgment call, and sometimes that'll work, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Um, Whenever you are, and maybe this is just the kind of work I do, but whenever you're forced with a breakdown, there is an opportunity after that breakdown to understand what went wrong and improved on it. And the communication was bad. I mean, nothing for nothing. When they inbounded the ball and Tyrese Maxey was going up, you foul him right away. You do not need the coach to tell you that. This is not police athletic league with 11-year-olds. They've been playing this game forever. You know what the score is. You know what the situation is. It almost seems like they were not paying attention to what was going on, and it bit them. That is a dangerous man. He had been hitting shots like that all night. They should have fouled him right
You
away.
had been.
But again, I was furious after the game, and took a deep breath in the morning and thought about it, and I could understand being worried after a loss like that. And you're right, it is a momentum changing loss. But I do get the feeling that Embiid is cooked. The longer this series is going on, the harder it's going
Yeah.
to be on him. Maxey played out of his mind. You cannot expect that to be a regular occurrence or for him to perform at that level like that. He played out of his mind. He threw up. He could have ricocheted off a defender's head and it would have went in from three that night. That's the kind of game he was having. And my hat's off to him. I mean, he's an outstanding player. He had an
Yes,
outstanding
sir.
game. Do I think he's going to duplicate that performance? No, I don't. I think there is a certain complacency, and I know that they're professionals, and I know they're hungry, and I know that we have a good character team of professionals, but there is always the danger of coming in with a little bit of complacency up 3-1 and being sitting there with 6 points left, with 28 seconds left, and all of that stuff, thinking you have it in the bag, and they didn't keep their eye on the prize, in my opinion. So you improve from that. Again, I thought this was going six, and I think it's going six also. I think they're going to win tomorrow night. I thought how the games matched up were going to be different, but
Right.
I still see them coming in and winning tomorrow. Um, Heartbreaking loss, but look, man, I'm a Knick fan saying this, but I don't know how far this team could realistically go this postseason.
Yeah. Me.
We're working a 7-man rotation right now, and we're wondering why people aren't hitting the free throws when they're playing 50 something minutes in the game and they're not sitting down.
Fair.
Why there are no lifts, why those floaters in the paint are hitting the front of the rim, why the free throws aren't quite as crisp. There are reasons for that. I mean, yes, hit your free throws. That's your job, but still, the foul on the three-pointer by Robinson, you hope he's better than that. But again, this is Mitch. He's kind of an awkward dude, kind of clumsy. I'm not surprised he did it, but it really hurt us. There were a million things that could have gone right, but that's not what happened. I think walking out of it, they've got to look at it like, look, man, we collapsed. We did not have our head in the game at the end. We were not on top of what was going on. We let that go, and it's on us. And it can't be a finger pointing type of thing. It's got to be collectively, this fell on us, period. You know, again, I think they will come back and win. Um, I don't like the Indy matchup if they play Indy next.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, so I don't know how far this team can go because if they get Indy, that's a really bad matchup for them because they are young, they're fast, they play fast, they're
Hmm.
deep right now, and they will run them up and down the court until they're exhausted. You can't play 7 men against that team. So,
Like,
you know, I I think losing Bogdanovich hurt us more than most people realize. Again, Precious Achua isn't an eighth man in the rotation when you have Mitch and when you have Hartenstein in there. You know, and it's just what do you do with that? But as far as Brunson in overtime, I understand him trying to put it in. The team as a whole really wasn't playing that well. I mean, McBride had a decent game, yes. Hart, yes, but Hart was exhausted. I feel for Brunson because the last two postseasons he's had an ineffective Randall due to injury and an absent Randall due to injury. And if it's the one thing I keep on saying and watching in this season, this series is we don't have that second guy, let
no, we
alone
don't.
the third guy, and it hurts us. I mean, I'm not going to hang Brunson for this. I mean, we would be nowhere without that guy. And
It's not.
it's just a hard loss, Eric. It's a hard. It
Yeah.
sucks the life out of you afterwards. You know, it hurts as a fan watching that, knowing that they had it in the bag. So I understand your rant. I understand your frustration. I share your frustration. I think they need to take a deep breath and they need to put this on a shelf and unpack it in the offseason what happened. They have to understand what went wrong and improve on it, but they cannot dwell on this. They have to come in right in game 6.
No, I mean I agree with that. I mean, I know, like I said, it's good in the back of your mind to know that you do fight another day. If you lose game 6, you do have another shot at it. But I don't want to give that team confidence just simply because they have. I mean, like you said, we know he's cooked. He might be cooked and he might be hobbled, but he's still playing and he's
Yeah.
still giving them effective minutes. So, they have that guy. They have, I mean, they have a guy who, he's the MVP of the league. He
Yeah.
was last. So who's to say that he doesn't put it all, have a great game 7 on and, you know, lead them to victory?
No. And that might very well happen. And you're left with two things. Either they put it together and they go forward stronger, ready for the next round, or they don't, and then they walk into the offseason looking at the reasons why and what they don't have. Because I keep on walking away with what they don't have. I'm not blaming the coaches. I'm not blaming the players, especially when they're playing all of those minutes necessarily. We are a victim of injuries right now, which is showing some inherent flaws in our team. You know, I don't know, man. It's a tough thing. I don't know how much I have to say about it because it is a terrible, terrible, terrible loss. But it's got to be more than Brunson.
No, I mean, it definitely is. I wasn't, if that's what my rant came off as, I
No,
wasn't
no, no, no,
doing
no,
it.
no. I'm talking about what I think the problem is here.
Oh, okay. I
And again,
mean,
there's a reason that he felt he needed to do that in overtime. And let's be honest about that. Yes,
no,
these are good supportive players and everything like that. But overtime in that game, he just dropped 40 points. And
he's it was more the decisions and the types of shots he was taking that bothered
yeah,
me, as opposed to the fact he was taking the shots. Um, I don't mind because he's our best and most efficient offensive player, so I don't mind him taking the shots. I feel confident that he's going to hit them. It's just the way he went about it. There were times, man, he would come down the court and just shoot it. They wouldn't barely have a possession.
yeah,
No one else would touch the ball. And for me, that's not how when I was watching the game earlier, because again, they were kind of playing this more team oriented game for the bulk of it because he wasn't dominating the game early. He got better late. Um, so and this happens in a lot of sports, and it happens a lot of times in basketball where everyone says like closing time is the time for the star, right? So I get that. I understand that's the NBA and that's how the game's played. We just saw it. Maxey was the guy on the other side and he was
Yeah.
making the shots. So I mean we saw it and Brunson wasn't. I just didn't like how he was going about doing it.
No.
And he even said it in the post game. He was like, I need to make better decisions. I need to be smarter. Um, and I do think like, yeah, Dante wasn't good, but OG had a really good game. Like, get
Well,
these guys.
he had a couple
Yeah,
of good games recently. The game before he played
yeah,
too.
yeah. So get these. I'm not saying they have to take the shots, but at least get them. Let them touch the ball.
Right.
Make the defense work a little bit. And I just wasn't seeing that from him. And it was kind of uncharacteristic because honestly, even the games that he takes over a lot, I feel like they do move the ball a little bit and he gets it back. So it was just very strange. And again, I understand if he felt like, yeah, I'm going to try and win it for us now. I get it. I mean, that's why he's here. So I get that. It just, like you said, the way everything unfolded, how the game, everything happened, all the plays that broke down and how things turned out was just very, very tough to watch. Being that close, and like I said, I did think back to Reggie Miller, and like I was thinking of had all those emotions like fly coming back, and I was like, oh God, not again. I kept
Yeah.
saying this. Um, and the way it unfolded too, missing free starts, missing the free throws, and that game, it was so eerily similar. Um, and a lot of people say, well, we made the miraculous plays in game two. They got it in this game. It washes out. That's what people are saying. And I guess if you want to look at it that way, that's fine. Um, but man, what did you think of the last 2 minute report? Doesn't that just suck? Like,
I don't think they should publish it. I think
I
if they make
agree,
it,
man.
I don't know. I do want to return to one thought. Brunson knows for the Knicks to win, he has to involve everybody in the offense, and that's the way he's run things. And he's become a better distributor. It seems like in the playoffs and everything like that. However, for him to do what he did in that overtime says that there's something there to me. That he does feel like it's just him.
Well,
Honestly,
I'm,
I think that there's something to that. I think that's why he reverted back to that because it was crunch time, because they just folded really to wind up in overtime to begin with. And he said, I've got to do this or it's not getting done. So there's something there. There is some kind of thought that we don't have really what we need to handle a moment like this. So I have to do it. That's what it says to me. I may be wrong completely, but that's what I walked away thinking
right.
from that situation.
Well, we mentioned this, you mentioned it, so I have it in here. Um, this sucked in so many ways because I honestly felt like he was kind of that second guy for them.
Yeah.
Um, and now he's gone. So, like you said, maybe that did play into Brunson's head. I don't know. But with him out, I mean, I know he played a 7-man rotation. I don't think that's sustainable. So, who do
It's
you
not,
see coming in? Burks? I mean, I know he was terrible, but
no. We don't have that person. This would have been great if we would have had a Gordon Hayward, to come in and fill that role, not to, stick my finger in an
I was,
old wound.
I know.
But they don't have that guy on the roster right now. They have a bunch of guards. They have guards now. I mean, DiVincenzo, hasn't really showed up, but I mean,
Yeah,
they
ever
have
since he
guards.
got hit, ever since he took that hit, he's been. I
Yeah.
don't know if he's playing with a concussion or I don't know,
There's
but
there's there's something off with it. I mean,
he's
the
been. Yeah, he hasn't been the same.
beat up and
Yeah,
tired and all of that. That's why you know what I'm almost praying that we get Milwaukee in the second round. I do think we're going to go to the second round. I do think we're going to win this series. It's not going to be in the way that we wanted. I really wanted to see them win it at the Garden. I
right.
really wanted to see it them close it out in front of our fans, and 4-1 definitively shut the door on them. Boom, over. It's just not the way it came out, and it hurts. But I do think that they're going to close them out in the next game. I think you're going to see a Knick team that's going to come out very, very, very focused. I think that's what I'm hoping right now.
No, I mean, I think I do think, I don't, I was talking to Craig last night after the game, and we were chatting for a while, and he actually thinks that now the Sixers are going to win. But I think he felt that from the beginning. That's just me, but but we were chatting about it. And for the simple fact, like he says, like they have more stars than the Knicks do, and
They do.
in the NBA, that usually is what is the deciding factor. And he's not wrong. In the NBA, that's usually what decides games is who stars play better in the playoffs. That's usually just how it goes. But that being said, this the Knicks have played this series has pretty much been played in their style of basketball for the most part. The only game that it wasn't was the game the Embiid scored 50 and they hit all those threes, and I mean that was. But this series has been played at the Knicks pace, and I don't see that changing. So I do agree with you. I do think that they win the series. I don't know if they win tomorrow. I can see them winning tomorrow, but I can also see them losing tomorrow. And then you might get your wish to have them win at the Garden. If they go 7, they'll play a game 7. I hope they don't, because I think tomorrow is winnable because Embiid is only getting today to rest.
Yeah.
That's my biggest my biggest thinking on this. Like he's only getting a day. I can't see Maxey having that game again.
No, I agree 100% with that. I don't see Maxey having that game again, and I think Embiid's hurt. That's why I think they come in and they crush them.
And I do think he's gonna have to play somebody else though. I don't think he can play just 7 guys. He's gonna have to dip into the bench a little deeper. Whether that's Burks, whether that's giving Milton a shot, I have no idea. But it's gonna have to be somebody who can score points. And Burks is the next guy up.
Burks is the option then.
Yeah, like he's the only other option. And who knows? Maybe the time off has been good for him, and he comes in and has one of those fourth quarters where he hits every shot. And we've seen it before.
The thing that concerns me with Burks is he's a black hole.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If he's not hitting it, that is going to really hurt the team.
Yep.
So you have to hope that you're getting a certain version of Burks in the game, and it's tough. Ideally, we would have a big wing.
I know.
To stick in right now, and we don't have that right now. Damn, it was just frustrating. It really was. That was a tough way to lose, and you're right. It brought up ghosts with me.
Yeah,
ghosts of my Knick fandom. It smelt like, games in like 1997 where I'm sitting at the bar, ready to throw my glass at someone because the whole thing just fell apart. It was that kind of loss. And it was just, but again, they said all the right things after it was over. They took ownership of it. Mitch took ownership of it, but again, he probably did the same foul in the same situation. But again, the communication, really, really an issue. No one's harder than Brunson than Brunson is himself. I'm sure he's going to come in with a different focus. I just feel like they're going to come in and close it out in the next game. I don't like the next series for them. This team is not built for a real run. They're just not. It's not sustainable.
They don't have the talent right now. That's really
and they're playing too many minutes. And there's a big difference between playing 45 minutes and playing 38 minutes a game.
Of course there is.
It's a big, big difference. So, again, in 38 minutes is a lot of game. Josh Hart, what has he played? Like 90% of all the games in the playoffs so
Yeah,
far?
I mean,
And towards the end of the season, and you wonder why he's not hitting a free throw. The guy's exhausted. I mean, I
yeah,
understand Tibbs' mentality. He can't do anything else but set these guys out there and hope for the best. But you know, it's tough. They're in a tough situation. And it hurts, man, because you think about what this team would have been at full force,
I know.
but I'm sure Philly could say the same thing if Embiid was fully healthy.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like I said, well, if he was fully healthy, they might have been the 2 seed,
Mhm.
right? So I mean, you could honestly say that, and the way that this played out because of the injuries that they had, especially to him. I mean, this is just a unique thing that we're actually playing them, and they're the lower seed.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see how how things happen. But I'm gonna be very interested tomorrow in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Mhm.
Um, I think that I'm not gonna say that could decide the game, but that could decide what kind of game it is. And the Knicks need to keep it the way they've been playing it.
I think what's going to happen in the first quarter is the Sixers are going to come out swinging. They're going to build up a lead. The Knicks are going to remain patient and they're going to weather the storm and come into the second quarter. It's going to become a very close game and a dogfight. And to tell you the truth, I think, the second half they'll pull it out. But I think Philly's going to come out strong. This is where they're going to need to keep their heads on. They're not going to have stupid fouls. Again, how to play defense without getting in foul trouble. They can't afford anybody to get in foul trouble, but yet they have to play stifling defense. They have to come in sharp. They have to come in with their heads screwed on. Their heads were not screwed on in the last quarter of the last game.
And
They
see,
just
and that's where I'm going to push back on you about the coaching. That's
Mhm.
where I'll push back on you about coaching because that's literally at this level, that's the coach's job. The coach is not going to teach you how to shoot, dribble, pass, the fundamentals. You should know how to do that at this level. The coach's job is this with the players.
Mhm.
They need to know all situations. They need to know what to do in situations. When something happens, they need to be ready and say, okay, this is what happens. And that needs to be practiced and drilled in from the head coach. So that's my issue with how the game unfolded last night. There were a lot of situations where I felt like they weren't prepared for it, or not that they weren't prepared, but just because, like you said, they were playing so much in the heat of the moment, and that
Yeah,
no one
they could
stopped
have been
and said,
prepared and not executed.
right, that nobody said, hey, you know what, focus, get your head in it. This is what we've done this before. We've practiced this before. And I didn't see that. So
Mhm.
that's where I'll push back on you about the coach's impact because, like I said, in professional sports, that's really what a coach's job is.
Yeah,
Give them the game plan, and then you're kind of a psychiatrist and you get your players ready, focused, prepared, and know what to do in situations. And Brunson was very wise to take responsibility for it. Says I need to be better in getting guys in the situation. I mean, he is the point guard. That's his job too. They're the coach on the floor, and so yeah, he was very. But I peel the onion back a little bit more. I'm going to say, yeah, you're right. You should have, but every other guy should have known that too. You're not. This is not a young team. These are
no,
all veterans.
yeah.
So that's my pushback on the coaching part of it. And I agree with you on this point. His hands are kind of tied right now because he doesn't have options.
It costs you a timeout once you see that them breaking down to screw their heads back on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, after that kind of a shot to tie the game, I
Mhm.
would have just called a timeout because I would have been like, "Damn, can't believe what I just saw." Like,
Yeah.
I would have needed it for myself. Like holy crap. Um,
The timeout after that was a judgment call, but I have to
it
tell you, I
was.
would have called it. I would have called the timeout.
Yeah, I would have called it too. You can't take them with you, and that's the end of the game. You have a chance to advance. I want
Even
the best possible shot I could get.
I understand the idea behind it. You want to try to catch them on their
Right.
heels. If you do set up for a play, they know it's going to Brunson. Period.
Right.
You try to get them on their heels. It didn't work. I still would have called the timeout though.
I agree. I did not. That I did not understand. I also didn't understand. He didn't say he told them to foul when when they were up three. He didn't say that he told them to foul. But we know in the past he has said he doesn't like doing that. So that's all I can go on.
They
Right.
should have known to foul him.
I agree.
They should have known to foul him.
I agree.
One thing that was disturbing, I thought too, was the defensive breakdowns towards the end of the game. Twice having Oubre wide open under the basket just to kind of get, and those were really, really crushing, rally crushing the points. And it was always off of a double team. It seemed like double, he would roll down. Who are you doubling in that situation? I don't know. I have to look closer at the game film to find out what they were doing. Like I knew they were doubling. I don't know who they were doubling, but he did that twice to them. And
I know one of the times they were trying to trap the ball and he just slipped it. He just slipped and they got him the ball there. That was one time I saw they were trying to trap. I think honestly, I mean, Embiid's such a good passer that
yes,
you risk it when you double him. You risk getting beat like that.
Yeah.
He almost had a quadruple double with turnovers. He had a triple double, but he almost had. I think he had 9 turnovers.
Yeah, that was really uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
So a message to Knicks fans out there. We know this sucked.
Yeah.
It really, really sucked. We feel it. You feel it. Everybody feels it and everything like that. We got a game 6 coming up. This would be a good time to step up and stop the bleeding, come through focused. I still believe they could beat this team. I don't think Craig's wrong. I think in some ways Philly is probably a better team. But I still think we're going to beat this team.
I mean, if you look at their roster, I mean, they have veterans who've won championships before. So, I mean, they definitely are
and they
a more seasoned.
Like Oubre on a veteran's minimum contract. His defense has been outstanding in this series.
Yeah, and Batum as well. Nicholas Batum has been good on defense as well. And
Campaign, another pickup late in the season, just drilling threes right off
shots,
ice cold.
Yep. I mean, they're only playing 7-2. No, 8. They're playing 8.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Buddy Hield hasn't played at all. He was one of their best bench guys. He's barely playing.
He wasn't doing anything.
So, I'm just saying, like, this is a guy who's proven to be a good scorer in the league, and he's not even getting off the bench.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. It's games like that just stick with you. I wanted to play them to play tonight. I was like, come on, let's play the game tonight. Because I need to see what happens. But yeah, man, this so eerie. Well, when that happened, the Knicks did win Game 6. So
I don't know. I'm glad they're not playing tonight. I was kind of exhausted. But it was funny. You talk about the ghosts of Knick failures past. Like I recognize that feeling, just that completely drained fan feeling where you're hanging on every possession and your blood pressure's through the roof just because you're like, okay, what's going to happen next? I mean, it's excruciating to go through, but I'm glad we're going through it because otherwise we'd be talking about, like you said, we'd be talking about the draft. So,
I know. I do have something else to say to the fans, and maybe you're going to say you're old, get off my lawn, all this other crap. I don't care. I really don't care at this point. Can we stop with these stupid celebrations when you're winning one playoff game? And can we stop with the burning of jerseys and destroying property of the other team? And we haven't won anything yet. No. Winning a playoff game does not mean you should lose your mind and celebrate. I don't even think winning a playoff series, you should lose your mind and be retarded and do things like that. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say retarded, but just be crazy and do things like that. I just don't understand it. And again, maybe I'm old. It's possible. Maybe I've reached a point where I don't understand why fans do these things outside of the fact that, hey, they want to go viral and, be on Instagram and have people sharing this all over the world. If that's what your thought process is, I mean, I'm not going to stop you anyway. But there's a certain, I think, unless you win something, like you actually win a series or win a round or win a championship. I don't even like it when people win championships and do stuff like this. But at least then can see a little bit more. The excitement just grabs you. But those kinds of things, the burning, the destroying property. Come on, guys, be better than that.
I will also add in the F Embiid or F Trey Young chance.
Yeah, we weren't even playing the Hawks. Like, why are we saying Trey Young?
Sometimes I love the passion of the fans spilling onto Seventh Avenue, and I mean it's great seeing those videos sometimes. I
Sure.
remember the second year at Thibodeau. It was the year after we lost from the Hawks, our first home game we won, and I mean fans are spilling on the street, running out, jumping. It's the beginning of the regular season. Like Knicks have that passion, and I love that. But there is a line that you cross into just foolishness. Just like you're saying, Eric, I agree completely with you. And I think there's kind of a classless factor that's kind of being attached to Nick fandom with some of these behaviors and some of these chants. I think they're inappropriate. And I think we're better than that.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, it's people always think of New Yorkers as smart basketball fans or smart sports fans.
Yeah.
Period.
The
They always
smartest in the
say,
NBA.
yeah, like they'll say things like that. And I mean, I think, of course, fan is short for fanatic. So let's go, fanaticism is not a good thing. But I mean, you're not showing that the smartest fans in the NBA thing if you're doing things like that. You're not proving or representing that statement very well if you're doing things like that. If they win the series and you want to be loud and boisterous and then say like FMB, I don't agree with it anyway, but at least then you could say it because you beat him and he's home and it makes a lot more sense. But you do these things when you're still playing the team. Like it's not, I don't know. I wouldn't want the team doing things like that and giving bulletin board material. And I know players say it doesn't matter, but that's crap. It does.
It does.
Players do hear these things and they do use things for motivation. I mean, if anyone watched The Last Stand, you saw the crazy things Michael Jordan used for motivation. And we know, I mean, that was just insanity, but players look for things. So don't give them anything else.
I think the team itself is good at that. I don't think that you'll
Yeah.
hear much controversial stuff come out of the Knicks at all from the coaches on down. I mean, one thing I didn't agree with Thibodeau, but it was when he was talking about whether or not they thought that foul on where Embiid pulled down Mitch, and he was like, "No, that's just hard playoff basketball." I don't agree with that. But again, there is just this kind of like they're a brick wall with the media. They're a brick wall with how they are with the other team. It's a communication style. They just don't give you anything. I don't know. I like the way the team handles itself in this, how they've handled themselves in this series. They've handled themselves with class. It has been a chippy series, and frankly, they've been a lot of dirty plays in this series. I think personally, and they've handled the other side of that well. I don't know. I think that again, I'm expecting them to come in focused and to close them out. But anytime you have a breakdown, you have to learn from it. You have to look yourself in the mirror, find the root cause of it, make sure it doesn't happen again. And I do honestly believe, I don't think that coaching is ever perfect, but I kind of look to the players on this, on the major breakdowns, the things that I thought were the major contributors to that breakdown. I assign that to the players still.
They're veterans, right? That's the thing. Like these aren't really young players. Brunson's been in plenty of playoff games before. These guys have been in playoff games.
Now, this isn't Chris Webber in the Final Four at 19.
Right. This is not a team of rookies. Like if you see OKC do something like this, I could see it a little more. But they're a very young team. But again, like I said, we talked about the fatigue factor, and when players are tired, they're not always thinking straight.
Hmm.
So from that perspective, I think the coach needs to be a little bit more aware and be a little bit stronger in his message. And I'm
Right.
not saying he wasn't. I wasn't on the court, but I can only go by what I've seen. And from what we've seen from the Knicks in late game situations under this coach, they haven't always been crisp with their execution. So, I'm just going off of everything what I have, the knowledge that I have. And I don't know what to think about tomorrow, really. Like I said, I can see them winning and I can see them losing, but I've said that every game this series because I honestly feel like that. And every game's been close. So this team doesn't give up. They're gritty, they fight hard, they fight to the end. We know all that stuff. Um, I mean, you're gonna win two in Philly. I don't know. I know people are saying there's New York South anyway, so whatever, but
You know something? I know that it's something that's probably aging us, which isn't a good thing because the three of us are old to begin with. Well, I'm the oldest, but the but if you get outside of the difficulty of watching it as a Knicks fan, it's been a great series to watch.
oh, it
It's
has.
been a great, great series. It's by far been the most interesting first round series in the
Yep,
playoffs.
yep. I mean, I did think I didn't think the Lakers had a chance to win, but I thought the story in that series with the 11 straight losses and all that other stuff, I thought that was a compelling story within that series. I can't think of another one though that I was kind of like, oh, I can't wait to see, how this one plays out. Or they're really, I mean, maybe the Timberwolves, um, and Suns, and that was just ridiculously lopsided. I did not see that coming at all.
That team's
Um,
cooked, man.
yeah, man. Of course, I was gonna bring up the Devin Booker thing, and I was gonna talk. If you want to talk about it, we could touch on it. Uh, I do think he's the kind of player that they need, the kind of scorer that they need. Um, do I think they're gonna get him? No, I don't.
No.
Um, I know that apparently the coach, that's what the staff, the Leon Rose staff, apparently he's the guy they've been targeting from the beginning. If you believe the reports that are coming out now, he's the guy they've always wanted. Um, I don't know. I think it's going to take a lot to bring him here. So, what are you willing to give up? Again, that's what it comes down to. What are you willing to give up?
Would you rather have him and Donovan Mitchell?
Ty asked the same question the other day, and I said, fit wise, I'd much prefer Booker. Fit wise, I just think he's a better fit for the Knicks. Uh, I think he's a legit 6'6" as well. He's not small. Mitchell's another small guard. So
Not
I
a
think
particularly good defender, so he doesn't really use that size all that well.
he's not. But I mean, I could look to guys in the past who weren't like Allen Houston wasn't a great defender, but he fit in well with the Knicks scheme, and they were still a good defensive team. So I think you can cover for him defensively, and we could see, just see how it plays out. Mitchell isn't a great defender either. He can be when he wants to be, but he's not really a great defender either.
I think he's the
Uh,
more dynamic offensive player.
I don't know, man. They just do it differently. They just do it in different ways.
I think
He's the more athletic, explosive player. Yes,
harder to
I agree.
defend when he's on.
I will give you that. Um,
He could do it in a number of different ways.
I don't know. I I think Booker's better. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, Booker's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I would never say no to him, but I think I might lean Mitchell in that situation.
I don't know. Booker's been to a finals. Like he's played in the NBA finals. He's been in deep playoff runs. Mitchell hasn't. There's a lot of things. I think Devin Booker, from what I'm reading things now, and people are starting to say he might be the actual issue on the team. Um, but I mean, the guy is a 27 and 7 player, shoots 50% from the field. I mean,
What did you hear about thinking that he would be the issue? What have you
there's
read?
just been growing words coming, like things coming out of Phoenix about, because people say, well, what's the problem? You have these three guys, none of them have really ever been problematic anywhere. Durant may have a bit of an ego, but anyone with his resume would. So between those three guys, like Beal's never really been problematic. Durant's never really been problematic unless you're on social media with him. And
Well, maybe
then,
Beal's been problematic in anonymity.
yeah, like I don't. It just seems like the one constant there for all of this has been Booker, and you know now their things are falling apart. They didn't have the season they thought they'd have, and you heard that Durant was the one complaining, saying, I don't know how I fit there. I don't like the offense. Like that's what we're hearing. But is that because Booker has the ball all the time? Because he does. I mean, I'm being honest. He does have the ball all the time. Um, I don't know. So, I know Stephen A is the one who reported that Booker wants to play for the Knicks. So, yeah, kind of take it with a grain of salt because he's said stuff like that in the past. Going back to Shaquille O'Neal 20 something years ago, I was hearing that he'd talking about Shaq wanting to come to the Knicks. So, I mean, you gotta take that with a grain of salt. But I would prefer him just because I feel like what he brings and what he does is better than was a better fit than what Mitchell brings and Mitchell does. That's my
Not
opinion.
saying you're wrong, just different preferences.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wasn't sure we were going to get into it because I wanted to kind of focus on the game,
Mhm.
but it was news that came out. So figured we touch on it. I don't really want to talk about the off season yet. I've, I'm trying not to put that out out in the universe. Oh man. You know what? If I'll say this about this series. If it was the other way around, I wouldn't be surprised. Like if Philly was up 3-1 going into yesterday, I would not have been surprised. And I if part of me would have been part of me would feel better right now about that because of the things you said. Like I don't think this team is going to do more than go to the second round. I really don't.
No.
So I was kind of mentally preparing myself that they might lose this series. And if they do, well, okay. Like they didn't have Randall, now they don't have Bogdanovich. So if it does happen and they do wind up not losing the next two games, God, please don't. But if they do, like that does wind up happening, I'm not honestly not going to be that upset about it.
If they lose going up 3-1, neither am I, to tell you the truth, because it may send a necessary message of maybe we need structural tweaking. Maybe we are not good as we are right now. Maybe there are decisions that need to be made.
Yeah. I mean, from that, if I think I know where you're going from that perspective, blowing this lead might do that. Might.
It's a black eye. It's embarrassing when teams
Oh,
lose
for sure.
teams. I mean, I think about when OKC lost to Golden State up 3-1. I don't think the franchise is still over that.
Right. But I mean, the way they can always flip it is, well, we were down Randall and we didn't have, and then we lost Bogdanovich and, they can
You're
spin
still
it.
up 3-1. It's not like that happened when you were 3-1 and you lost all
That's
those
true.
players.
That's true.
You had enough to go up 3-1.
Yeah.
All of that stuff happened before. Bogdanovich, yes, he's a bench player, but you lost your number 2 months ago
Yeah.
and played some of your best basketball of the season without him. So
I
there's,
do.
there's, there's multiple ways you can look at that.
And I'll say one more thing about I'd feel better about the options he has if the coach was more flexible in playing guys. Like I feel like he's so stuck on a certain structure of what a guy does, he will not play him in another position. And that's something that I'm not saying that like Precious is the answer, but he's proven during the season he could play. So if you need a guy to, just to play defense on a player for like 10 minutes, why don't you put him in the game? Like there's just certain things you can play. I mean, he's not physically height wise, he's got more of a power forward, small forward size. And I'm not saying you could possibly steal minutes with him playing that at the small forward spot, but maybe to defend somebody, why not? Like just throw him out there.
I have to be honest. I've always had problems with his rotations and some of his decision making, even though I think he is a very good coach. It's been months since I've really been down on him. I do think he is coaching well. I think his substitutions have been okay. I think the offense looks better since that trade than I've ever seen it, and that was always my biggest knock on him.
Was structured
I,
better.
I do feel like he's. I don't. When I think of the things that are potentially going wrong with this team, the first thing off my head is not Thibodeau. Honestly, a lot of it is circumstance. Yes.
Well, obviously injuries probably right now.
Yeah, circumstance.
Yeah.
But again, I think he's coached well. I just don't think that he's that kind of Rick Carlisle, Spolstra type of coach that is going to coach you past that. You know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
if I think he's doing the best he can with it, and it's probably a really good job that he's
No,
doing.
I mean, yes.
He's just not,
Overall, it'd be impossible to say that he's not
yeah,
doing a good job.
he's just not one of those extraordinary coaches. He just isn't.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I wish we had someone more innovative.
Yeah,
Try and figure things out. You
I
know,
those are the guys that I look at. The two I could say in the league right now. Although Quinn
Snyder.
Quinn Snyder, thank you, Quinn Snyder. I always looked at to be one of those guys, but he doesn't seem to be getting it together in Atlanta. But the two guys that I think of are Carlisle, honestly, and Spo's excellent,
I think
excellent,
Kerr. I
excellent
think
coach.
Kerr is too. I think Steve Kerr is like that as well.
I haven't watched a lot of Golden State.
Well, the only reason I say that is because he came into a situation that, I mean, obviously they were built to win at that point,
Yeah.
and he made a few tweaks that got them over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at guys who, you have to be willing to try things, in my opinion, when things are falling apart.
Yeah.
And, the Knicks right now, I'm not saying they're falling apart, but they're losing bodies. So you have to try something at this point, and I give him credit for it. And he did it the other game when he put Precious to guard Embiid, and he gave him a different look, and it actually was effective.
It was.
So, something like that was a great move, and he'll do it defensively. It's just offensively, I don't see things like that. And I don't know what he can do, but you gotta, I mean, obviously right now they're fine. If they win tomorrow, they advance and all this is over. You don't have to worry about talking about this. But you're losing bodies. If they start out slow and guys can't hit shots, what are you gonna do? Like, that's the thing.
It is a short turnaround to game 6, and they are tired.
Yeah.
That's
so.
possible.
I mean, again, he hasn't played really at all. He's a guy who's proven he can score in this league. Do you try Shake Milton? Do you throw him out there? Do you say, give me 5-10 minutes and see if he catch lightning in a bottle? If he gives you, 8 points in 10 minutes, there you go. That was a good move.
I think you do that in the beginning of a series, not when the stakes are this high. I think you lost the opportunity to do that. I think going to this next game, you're going with a 7-man rotation and the guys that you're using right now. I don't think that you're introducing another player right now.
Well, it better work. I mean, it better work because everyone
I'm
knows.
not saying I'm right. I'm saying that's what I would probably do.
But it's probably what he's going to do too, because that's what he's done all along. So, I'm just saying that if things start going bad, do something to shake things up. That's it. That's all I'm saying. If you start slow and you're down 15 at some point, and throw a guy out there who maybe catch fire. He is a scorer. That's what he's known. That's what he's done in the league. Give him a shot. Same thing with Burks. Like I have one of the people who's killed him more than anybody else. But but I know I've seen him carry the team before offensively.
Yeah.
So if you're having trouble scoring, give him a shot. If you catch fire, he can easily rip off 15 in a quarter for you. He used to do it. So that's all I'm saying. Right now, because you're losing bodies and you're losing guys who could score, and we just, like you said, they just played guys almost all of them over 50 minutes. Gotta try something. A
5-minute swing that goes the wrong way could crush the team, though.
Yeah, but a 5-minute swing that goes the right way could give you a big lead.
Again, it's all a gamble.
It is
a gamble, and it all looks like wrong decisions in retrospect when it doesn't go right.
You're right.
A gamble.
You're right. Right. Like I said, I think if like you said, you think they're going to start slow. If they do, and the lead gets to be like a 15-point lead or something, and the team's just not responding,
I don't see that happening. I'm thinking like a 7-8 point lead. They stick around, and then they even out in the second quarter, and then it becomes a dogfight. And I think they're going to pull away in the second half.
That's kind of what they've been doing.
That's what I see. That's what I see happening. But yeah, it's kind of what the series has been like.
Yeah, kind of in that.
One thing that is encouraging is so far in the series, it's been all these games have been close. All of them.
Yeah,
even scores
all of them
didn't look like they were close. It was closer than that. Like last night, even was closer than 6 points. But they seem to be able to shut the door on this team when they've needed to, barring yesterday. You know what I mean? And, the Embiid game, to tell you the truth, he should have been thrown out of that game. I'm sorry, he should have. But that was kind of payback for what happened in game 2. Those things balance out.
Exactly.
The 50-point game, Embiid just went off. You know what I mean? But for 3 games in this season, they were able to shut them down when they needed to in close games. They were all close games, all of those wins. So they seem to be able to have that with this team. It didn't happen last night. It should have happened last night. But I can't help but think that one of these next 2 games, it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen tomorrow, to be honest with you. But again, I don't see a big run in this team. I think that they could make the conference finals if they pull Milwaukee. I think that is possible. I think if they play Indiana, they're going to get run off the court.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's who they're going to play.
Yeah, I don't. They don't match up with the current state of this team and the injuries and the minutes that they're playing right now. They do not match up well with Indy.
Nope, they don't. The other good thing I'll say is if they don't win tomorrow night, it's another 1 day break before they play again. It's not like they get 2 days off and they play Sunday. They play Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing with the attrition, specifically with Embiid, because definitely.
I thought they play on Sunday.
Mm-mm.
Really?
Nope.
What time are they playing Saturday?
It says to be determined, but it says the 4th. So the 4th is. Yep.
Huh.
Yep. So I hope it's not late the night. I hope it's during the day, honestly, because I'm going to the Yankee game. so I hope if I'm at the Yankee game, I'm not going to be able, they'll probably have the game on somewhere in the stadium though, so I could probably go watch it at NYY Steak or something. Just
nothing for nothing. I know that this is not Knicks related, but I have to bring it up. Did you see what happened to Chris Fitch?
Yes, I did. I did see it. It didn't look like he hit him that hard, but
that's a horrible injury.
I know.
Horrible injury.
I know. I'm telling you, everyone, like when it happened, I was chatting with the guys, And then I'm like, the last time I saw something like this was when Charlie Weiss was coaching at Notre Dame. He was standing on the sideline. Was running full speed, got pushed out of bounds, hit Charlie Weiss, and just his knee just exploded. Like you saw it. And
Big boy.
that's immediately what I thought of.
Yeah.
Immediately what I thought of. I was like, oh my God, this is. But those guys hit him hard. Like this did not look like much contact at all, in my opinion. Just, I guess, the right place. He hit him in the right way.
Well, a lot of those tendons, like the Achilles and the patella, they could have flaws in it that you don't even know you're walking around with. These are things
Sure.
with a lot of nerves in them, going on. Like my wife, she just stepped into some sand and her Achilles went down. That
Wow.
Achilles was likely compromised.
Yeah.
But the same thing with him. It didn't look like that knee buckled in the way or took the amount of stress that.
No.
So that was probably structurally something that had been in the mail for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure it was. I'm sure. I mean, obviously, he's probably played. He played ball in his life, so he might have even done it years ago and
yeah.
didn't know. But all right, I think we've talked this one out, so we're gonna shut this one down.
How do you feel?
Uh, honestly, dude, I I don't feel great, to be honest. I do not feel great. Um,
If they won yesterday, that would have felt great.
yeah, I mean, like I said, in the back of my mind, I know that they play again, even if they lose tomorrow. So I have that in the back of my head, but I just hope they're not thinking that way.
No,
I hope they're thinking we need to win tomorrow and that's it. There's
no.
no game behind it. Um,
I think they're going to come in focused. I think they're going to come in with their heads screwed on straight.
I hope so. I would love for them to be the aggressors and just, come out and lay a nice run on them to begin with and go up big.
A
Even
lot
if
of
Philly comes back, I just would like the Knicks to be the ones applying the pressure early.
a lot of teams that have big first quarters don't win games.
No, I know. I agree with you. And this team has not been that team all year, so I'm not expecting it. But I'd like to see it for my own sanity. To be like, all right, we're up.
No. Yesterday was a loss, and it sucks that it was home, but it was the way they lost.
Exactly. It was the way they lost. And like I said, this series has been so close. They could have lost every game they played, and they could have won every game they played. Um, so it's not surprise. It didn't surprise me that they lost yesterday. I even said that going in. I'm like, if they lose game five, I'm not going to be shocked. Um, I just, like you said, the way it unfolded, it leaves you with a bad taste, and then you kind of start doubting things.
Yeah.
But we'll be here for therapy for all of you guys next week. If they do if they do wind up not winning and advancing, we will be discussing the season as a whole next week, or we'll be discussing round two and wherever we're at in round two at that point.
I think if they close it out, we should hop on, have like a 20-minute show.
We could do that. We can even throw that on just on Facebook Live if we wanted to for the group. That might be fun.
All right.
All right. So, Joe, tell them where they could reach you and talk to you if they want to.
All right, guys. You can reach me at Upstate Joe, because that's who I be, at AKU for all Knicked Up on X. You can find me on the fan page. The fan page is like, one of the great unrealized gems that you need in your life. So come on. They do game recaps, lots of conversations on there. So you can reach us on there. We always love to interact with you guys, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you for that. Yes, guys, the fan page. Today I actually started posting some of the post game comments. I'm going to start doing that going forward. I'll find the videos of the post game comments for the players, and I will post those up as well. And if you guys are on the page as well, you guys are more than welcome to start topics and talk and start discussions. It doesn't have to be us generating the content. It's a group. It's a fan group for everybody to talk and chat about the Knicks. So if you guys want to interact there, post something. We might have to review it first to make sure you guys don't, go off a little bit and say some craziness. But But other than that, we
You
appreciate
don't
the
want to
conversation.
hear about Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, definitely politics is not allowed. No politics. But anything Knicks related definitely is open for conversation. So post it up, and we'll get down and we'll talk about it in the group. For me, you guys see my information right there on the screen. At finally33, spell finale33 is my personal tag on Twitter, X/X. At all_Knicked_up is the show account on X/Twitter. I do another show called Straight Outta Gotham. It's at straight_O_G, where I talk about pop culture, movies, fandom, and all of that fun stuff that my nerdy and geeky side handles and deals with. You guys check me out over there. And we're everywhere you can find podcasts. The Straight Outta Gotham is on. Just look for Straight Outta Gotham on Spotify, Apple Pods, Google Pods, wherever you find your podcast, and give us a listen there. Next week, Ty should be back. That bum is on vacation in Mexico. Yes, celebrating his anniversary and I think his wife's birthday and all this fun stuff that's going on in their lives. So we miss you, brother. We hope you're having a good time. And we will see you next week. And we'll also see the rest of you next week. So for Joe, this is Eric. See you next time.